In this art sketchbook lesson, I am going to kind of work from these everyday scenes or everyday moments. And this is just looking around your house, looking in your office, looking in your studio space, and just kind of doing these still lifes. Now, I found a photograph online just so that I could print it out for you easily. I love that this had a lot of kind of patterning in it with the shadows. So I'm going to be just working in my pen and I'm just sketching out kind of the basics really quickly, a little bit of contour, and really just kind of putting some shape and form here. Again, just going to be working in my black micron pen, and I might add just a little bit of wash for a little bit more value. But I want you to just really quickly capture a still life or a scene that's in your house. And this can really help you connect to things in the present, things around you that you can appreciate, but also it helps you to experiment with really basic art supplies like a pen or a pencil, and starting to create kind of your own style and line work. So I'm really just observing the lines and the shape of everything. So you can see here I'm kind of drawing the outline of the plate of the mason jar. I'm starting to bring in the shadows of the leaves here, and I might not include all of them, but I'm going to make my shadows kind of fill those in, whereas the leaves that are above, I might just kind of put in outline or contour form. So contour is really just outlining the outside shape of an object. So this specific technique of just doing line work with just one color really helps you to study and observe the lines and the shapes and the form of objects. So this is something you could practice over and over again, especially if you are new to your art sketchbook. It can really be a way to easily observe things around you without coming up with brand new ideas all the time of what to create and what to do in your sketchbook. This just allows you to observe your surroundings and experiment with your own art style, your line work, and again, just really start to study with your eye the shape of an object and start to try to put that down on paper. Now, there's a lot of dark in the background, so I'm going to highlight where that edge of the table is. And I might come back in again with a little bit of watercolor here. The branches are what I'm seeing most of. The branches are actually kind of out of sight or on the top part of the photograph, but I'm actually seeing a lot of the branch shadows. So I can see these beautiful leaves are forming and it's creating this beautiful pattern. I think one of the things when we're observing objects and starting to learn how to draw and paint is that we see how the light hits it. Where are the darkest shadows? Where are the areas where it's really light, where the sun is hitting it, or a light indoors? So that helps us to build the line and shape of not only a still life, but also to kind of really, build the shape of just these objects. We're also now working a little bit on perspective. So what is in the foreground is going to be a little bit larger. So even though a plate looking down on it is perfectly round, it's going to look like the front of the plate here is closer to us. So it's going to look bigger as it comes to the foreground. And then like the vase, it's going to be smaller as it gets in the background. So this is something that you can just kind of study, whether it be objects or even landscapes. You're going to start to get a better feel of perspective and how to kind of build that perspective in your drawings. So I do have just a watercolor palette. This is kind of like a indigo blue that I'm going to kind of come in and just create some wash to add just a little bit more value. You could absolutely do this same thing. If you prefer to paint as compared to drawing, you could absolutely do this whole thing in watercolor if you have them. Another option, watercolors are great because they're easy and to bring around with you. They're great for sketchbooks because you can do them on the go. And then they dry quickly and all you need is water. So easy cleanup and you get quite a variety of layers here. So I'm just bringing a little extra layer. I don't want you to overthink it by adding in all the colors or trying to, bring in too much color into this one. So keep it kind of monochromatic or one color or two color for this. On the left side of my page, I'm going to play around with my crayons. These are water soluble, meaning when I add water to them, they'll move around like watercolors. You could use normal crayons, colored pencils, markers if you have them, gel pens. But for now, I'm just going to come in with a lighter color. And I'm going to work from the exact same photograph, but this time I'm going to add in some more color and do a little bit more line work. So I'm going to come in with I think it's great to start with a lighter color because you can always go darker over top of it. Again, art journals are such a great tool for artists because you experiment with different techniques, you study different subject matters, you get to play. And that is something that even as a professional artist, I still love to play in my sketchbook. Do I have pages that are horrible? Yes. I can tear them out, keep them as is, or I can even paint over them with white gesso. But, the point is that we can really start to study different subject matters. We can play with different mediums and techniques and, really, really keep our curiosity open. You hear me say that a lot, but I think our curiosity and keeping ourselves curious and interested, it really does just allow us to expand and grow in our practice rather than getting stuck in one medium or stuck in one subject matter. We get to really explore, and that's just the beauty of artwork. So I'm going to come in with a few different colors. I really have kind of some neutrals. I have that grayish blue, and then a darker blue here, which I'm going to come in and build those shadows. And I don't think I'm going to be adding water to this one. Again, these crayons are great because once you add water over it, they kind of move like watercolors. But I'm actually going to use them more just like crayons, just like you would, as a kid, because I kind of want that real drawing kind of look to it. And I want it to be distinguished from the image here that I did on the right. So I'm just blocking out the darkest areas. So I'm actually looking at the value, which is the shadows. So I'm starting to just look at the photograph and then move to my page and start to add the darkest areas into my drawing. Now on this one, I did actually create a little box all around my piece so that it kind of has a finished look, where on the right side, I just kind of let it spread all the way to the edge of the page. This one, I kind of boxed myself in so that I kind of stay within those boundaries. So experiment with that. See if you like to have more freedom when you're drawing and painting, or if you like to kind of have boundaries and edges to work with. I'm starting to create that mason jar. You can see the angle that we're looking at it. It's not straight down. It's kind of at an angle. So I'm going to see a little bit of the water on the edge. So you can see where that line kind of curves. If I'm looking straight down at it, we're not going to see that edge of where the water is. So just another way you can kind of just observe your surroundings. And that's why I love working from everyday still lifes, just things that you have. I mean, it can just be a pencil or a cup of coffee. It just really helps you to look at the everyday things with a new perspective, a new way of seeing. And I think when we can observe the world around us, even the most mundane things that we see every day, and find beauty in it, I think that's really what distinguishes artists from so many or creatives, is that you can find beauty in all these little everyday moments. So again, I'm going to kind of put some, you can see I'm going up and down. I kind of want to create some kind of sketchy look so that I'm not filling it in completely with the color, but I kind of have some line work here. So I'm having some movement to my drawing. I am not kind of a very perfectionist when it comes to drawing. I like it to be a little bit more expressive, and you're going to see that also in my painting. I love being very expressive, and for that reason, I'm going to create a lot of line work. I'm going to have a lot of imperfections in my work. And to me, I love that kind of unfinished look, or those big, bold brush strokes when I move into painting and drawing to really mimic almost movement and the movement of life. So coming in with a little bit of green, I have a dark green here now to build the leaves onto the plant. I can't see all of them again, but starting to bring that in, and then coming back with my grayish blue that I started with and building kind of the lighter mid-tone areas, and then leaving some of my paper for the really, really big highlights. So the things that are really light, I'm actually just going to let the paper come through to show those highlights here. But I think this is, to me, such an easy thing to do anywhere you are. And, I love sketchbooks for their ability that you really don't need to go out and buy a bunch of expensive art supplies. You can work with what you have around. You can buy a box of crayons. You can just work and pencil if that's all you have. Pencil or pen is just fine. You can just work in one color for a while until you really start experimenting with your own color palette. By working in black and white, you're really actually figuring out the values a little bit better before you start to add color into your pieces. So if you feel overwhelmed by color, that's a great way to start and just to study subject matters without overthinking it with the colors. And I'm just creating the edge and that line. I'm kind of boxing it in, putting it in a rectangle here. But you can see how quickly I move through that. And this is something that you can really work on, especially if you do feel kind of stuck in your art practice. Just observe your surroundings and connect to new shapes, new forms, new objects, and really kind of connect to your own art style as well. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I will have more art sketchbook lessons for you, and stay tuned as well in our newsletter for the most up-to-date information.